started with the outset, well, assuming that that's start taking place in 2019, and then takes about 10 years to implement. And followed by that, and outset expanded to the membership to the Taiwan, and then followed by FTA, AP, including many countries. Right? So this is the schedule. And to account for this detailed sequencing, well, again, we need a recursive planning. This is the second scenario. Trans-Pacific Track 1, meaning starting with the TPP 11, right, followed by TPP 16, membership expanded for Korea, Indonesia, Philippines, and Thailand. And then finally end up with the FTA AP. And then policy scenario number 3, it's just a similar, very similar to scenario 2. Differences for US already included TPP 12. But this one would be the way just in case, Asian track and also Asian Pacific track happening at the same time. Right? Outset TPP 1 starting taking place 2019, followed by expansion of the membership and with FTA. So this is the four scenario that is related in this study. Alright, so for the policy scenario, most of the merchandise trade, tariff on the merchandise trade would be completely removed except for several agricultural products. So number of parentheses would be the degree of the tariff cut. Okay? For example, rice is only 2% cut, and then sugar is 50%. So grains over 20%, sugar is only 5%, meat is 75%, and dairy product is 5% cut. So we can specify more different assumptions and scenarios for this type of deductions. And also we incorporated non-tariff barriers in services trade and also including some kind of time cost of trade. Well, if we're making some trade agreements and then promoting faster movement of logistics goods, well, that's the improvement carrying some kind of a benefit. And we don't know how much we're estimating more time cost of trade, right? So how many days you need to take the crossing the border, that's carrying some kind of a cost. So we are carrying that tariff equivalent of non-tariff barriers in services trade and also time cost to trade by 20%. And then productivity gains from the trade liberalization, we assume that. But this is one important sense what I have to mention. We don't have no differentiation amongst the MRTA, outside and the TPP. Well, you can argue what TPP is much higher quality of the FTAs as compared to FTA. Okay, let me go down to the simulation result, empirical findings. Well, we started with ASEAN countries, right? Starting with 2022, right? So starting with 2019, so benefits accrued to the ASEAN countries. Well, many countries are very small because FTA is implemented over the 10 years. So we are just heading into the several years and not much gain to the countries. But interesting things what we can observe here, so for Vietnam. So Vietnam is the largest country observing welfare improvement compared to the baseline case. Well, if US is still in a partnership, TPP, Vietnam's gain of welfare is very big, but right now, US is gone, that's the impact of the withdrawal of the US very clearly observed in Vietnam's case. This is 2020, 28, gains in welfare is improved over time, 2034, and most of the ASEAN countries benefiting from engaged in mega regional trade agreement. But most of the ASEAN countries benefiting from the outset scenario, sequencing, as compared to the TPP sequence, except for Singapore and Thailand, which is our original members of the TPPs. Right? And then, well, this is just end 2034 result for the China, Japan, Korea, and Taiwan. We observed that potentially substantial economic impact for the China, Japan, Korea, Taiwan as well. So, well, this is clearly more important for pushing for the regional or mega regional trade agreement with the sources of economic growth in the past. Okay. Conclusions, well, as I mentioned, well, scenario 1, scenario 2, scenario 3. So scenario 1, well, we observed for 1.6 and 3.7 for welfare gains for the ASEAN countries. Scenario 2, ASEAN countries were more or less on the scenario 1. And then, as I mentioned before, US participation from the beginning of the TPP with a substantial increase in terms of welfare gains, but only marginal effect will be observed for just the ASEAN countries. But for this last scenarios, for double track or two track FTA, mega regional trade agreement, with the potentially very important for which is contribute the largest welfare gain. But there is one thing we should know, one scenario, which is our scenario, and another one is our Asia Pacific TPP scenario. It's not a simple addition of the two tracks, because the overlapping of the memberships or reducing the welfare gains a little bit. And of course, in the paper, detailed or sectoral result is already reported. So if you're interested in, this article is already published in the Journal of Asian Economics, so you can take into that. Right? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, I play the bad guys always. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Kang Jong-woo from Asian Development Bank, who will present tariff barrier and industrial spillover effect. Please give him one round of applause.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Jong Kang. I'm from Asian Development Bank. Actually, I have prepared several slides to set the stage of my research presentation, but due to the time limitation, let me skip all of those several slides. And let me go straight to the GBC story of the trade. So, as a couple of researchers have already presented on, GBC is a quite important topic in analyzing the global trade and as well as Asia's trade growth. And a few researchers have cited WWZ or the KKW paper, which were published in the AER. And one of the authors was actually Mr. Shang Jin-wei, who was the ADB chief economist during his tenure. Now we have a new chief economist from the Tokyo University, Mr. Yasuki Sawada. And during Mr. Wei's tenure, we were heavily involved in analyzing the GBC trend in Asia and the world. And based on the composition of the gross exports into the domestic value-added, foreign value-added, and return domestic value-added and POW counting, we have measured over the past couple of years Asia's GBC participation rate. As you can see from the chart, Asia's GBC participation rate has faltered slightly over the past couple of years, from 61.7% to 61.1% by 2016, which has been cited one of the causes of the slow international trade growth in the past couple of years. And as all of you may be aware, there are a growing number of trade measures against the Asian exports, including the sanitary and phytosanitary measures and technical barriers to trade, anti-dumping trade remedies such as anti-dumping measures, countervailing duties, and the safeguards, and other tariff rate quotas and other non-tariff measures. And last year, actually, I have analyzed the impact of the sanitary and phytosanitary measures and technical barriers to trade from advanced countries onto the Asian exports, and I have shown that there is a significant negative impact on Asian exports, and which the article was published in the Journal of World Trade this July. This year, I have conducted further researches on the impact of anti-dumping duties from advanced countries onto the Asian exports, and also I've also looked at some spillover effects of potential trade remedies being initiated by advanced countries, including US, the EU, and other advanced countries onto Asian exports again. Although the overall, the general tariff rate and the MFN rates and the unilateral tariff rate have been lowered quite significantly over the past several decades, but still there could be quite significant tariff barriers at the sectoral level in the context of the potential trade remedies imposed on Asian exports. So still there is still valid argument in analyzing the impact of the tariff barriers in the industrial or sectoral levels. So this is the framework of my research. The CG model is a good policy tool in analyzing the general macroeconomic impact of the shocks, external shocks, including FTA and other types of shocks. But still, in analyzing the industrial or sectoral impact of the tariff barriers, partial equilibrium analysis can be a useful tool to draw some lessons from the potential impact of tariff barriers, I believe. So I have conducted some partial equilibrium analysis based on some simulations. And again, I have used the world input-output data, which covers more than 50 countries based on the multi-regional input-output table. And ADB's data covers more Asian countries than the original WIOD data. So in that sense, it can provide some rich information about how the spillover impacts can permeate through the input-output linkages within the region. And thirdly, I've also used Armington elasticity to take into account some substitution effect between the domestic product and the import product. And our WIOD data has the 6-digit level SIC classification, so I have aggregated those into 2-digit level to match with the available Armington elasticity information. As you can see from the chart, when the importing country raises tariff barriers against the exporter by, for example, imposing anti-dumping duties, there could be some direct impact between those two countries. But the importing country's point of view, because the importing country's industries which are using those imported goods in producing another type of final goods to be re-exported to other countries, there could be second round spillover impact through the fourth linkage. That's what I'm trying to capture in this research. And when it comes to the backward linkage, the original export country, which is producing the targeted output, can also face some kind of impact from the lower export to the destination country. And other countries which were providing some export goods to that specific import country can also feel some pinch because of the higher tariff rate from the original import country. So as you can see from this chart, the main focus of this research is to measure both direct impact of higher tariff rate and the second round spillover effects in both forward linkage and the backward. So let me just briefly go over some of the major findings from this analysis. Direct impact, I have looked at the 4 country pair cases between US and China, and the US, UK and the Korea, and the US, India, and US versus Japan. And I have also considered 2 sectors of transport and the metals. And then when US raises tariff rate against the imports from China on the transport sector, it will cause harm to the China's global transport export by 1.52%, and also for the metal, 4.63%. And likewise, quite the high negative impact will be caused to the Japan's export to the US in the transport as well as metals when the US raises the tariff rate against imports from the Japan. So other country pairs, the impacts could be quite negligible compared to the country pairs of US-China and the US-Japan. When it comes to the indirect effect, second round effect through the spillover effect at the forward linkage and as well as the backward, as you can see from this chart, when US imposes higher tariff against the Chinese exports of transport, the US export through the second round effect will be adversely affected by 5.51%. In particular, US exports to Canada and Mexico in the sectors such as transport equipment, financial intermediation, and food and beverages, and transport equipment will be harmed. So in that sense, when the US imposes the higher tariff barriers against the imports from other countries, it may face the second round negative effect itself. And when US impose higher tariff against the metal imports from China, it can face the negative impact by 3.63% of its total export to the world, in particular to those countries such as Canada and Mexico. So let me skip this, and now I have also considered some refined approach. In the basic approach, I have just looked at the pure second round effect, but here I have also taken into account some kind of substitution effect across different importing sources for the importing countries. Then by nature, being positioned and the upward segment of the global value chain, those industries linked to the backward, to the exporter side, may benefit from the less degree of substitution across the different importing sources, while in the case of foreign linkage industries, because through the value chain, being positioned at the downward segment of the value chain stream, those interests linked to the foreign linkage of the original importer can benefit from more flexibility in switching the importer sources across different importing countries. In that sense, the original negative impact, the imposed cost to the importing country largely disappear in this refined approach when we consider some substitution effect across different importing sources. But these zero numbers are